Hello everyone, this is me, Gameslide9, aka No Brainer, and welcome to another Star Wars Destiny video. You can see this on the background. We have the stars yet again, the animated stars. Ooh, this means it's a podcast episode, and I am joined with USS Captain Gordon. Please, who are you?
I'm some random guy on the internet. I played Star Wars Destiny starting in July. I got ninth at Artificiary TTS Store Championship. I got top 64 at TTS League, losing to Reflex. And I got second at Heroic Effort. Other than that, I don't really enter very many tournaments. Offline.
Nice, nice. I would like to apologize dearly. You are actually USS Gordon Captain. That always trips me up. Why do you have it that way around?
The ship is Gordon.
Uh-huh.
USS is the name of United States ship, and Captain is is the title.
Okay. I think I've got that. Right. So then, Captain. I won't call you Gordon, I'll call you Captain because that's your name, right? Wait. Whatever. We're moving on. That was not even a funny joke in the first place. So, what's the plan for today?
We're going to be rating the entire set of Legacies, starting with the hero characters, moving on to villain characters, then moving on to Hanundo, plots, and battlefields. In this video, the next video, we're going to be doing hero cards, then villain cards, then neutral cards.
I would prefer to do neutral cards first, but other than that, yes. Um, so the plan here is that we have these beautiful JPEG files donated truly by by yours truly, the internet. We have 5-star categories, but this isn't categories of how good the cards are, is it, Gordon? Damn it, Captain.
No, this is how, well, so kind of, is categories on whether or not the card will see competitive play in the upcoming formats. So there are two formats to look at, trilogies and standard. The reason you do it this way rather than say just how good the card is because cards that are good cards that do not see play are probably not good cards. The correlation is much stronger the correlation is very strong between cards power level and the amount of cards sees play, and it's way easier to measure the second one than trying to measure objectively the first one.
Mhm. So what we've got here is this 5-star system where 5 stars represents that it is going to see play in a tier 1 deck in the future, potentially. This is our top tier 1 cards. And then the second 4 stars, that is tier 2s, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then 3-star is tier 3s, and then 4th and 5th are casual, and then not at all. I think that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, although some casual cards might make it to 3 stars if they see play in
Yes.
non.
Of course, and everyone knows that casual decks can still be tier 5, tier the 5-star. What with R2P2 making its way into casual formats apparently a lot, as is typical. This is not a very casual community, so I've heard.
Not really, although it is more casual than the Hearthstone community.
Oh, um, well, before we open that bucket of worms, in case you guys can't tell, this is Gordon Captain's idea. He's the one who suggested this format and asked for the soapbox. So, we are going to start now with the heroes. We're going to pull them up ALS secure. If you have any complaints about the image quality here, again, Gordon Captain was the one who provided these images.
Yes.
I'm throwing him under the bus immediately. There is there is no question about this. All right. I'm an asshole. Okay, so the first character, ALS Secure, does have this new symbol, indirect damage. How do you judge indirect damage compared to the other damage types?
So we actually have had indirect damage before in Planetary Uprising and Palpatine's ability. Indirect damage is worth 1.75 over 2 damage per point if you look at comparing card for card. That seems to be what FFG values it at. So you would say that you would do about 9/10 of a damage per point. There's also some reason to believe it's slightly worth more than direct damage than people evaluate direct that at. But for now, I would say about 9/10 of a direct damage is an indirect damage. But it is noteworthy that there's ordering problems. So, as an example, if you're playing, say, Django Trooper Trooper, and you are playing an indirect damage deck against Django Trooper Trooper, they'll put like a bunch of weapons on Django and kill their both their stormtroopers. Whereas if you're playing a direct damage deck, you could kill Django and not bother with their troopers. It's like you gave every one of their characters Guardian, is what doing indirect damage is like.
Really? So you actually value the indirect damage quite highly. That surprises me. I personally value indirect damage at approximately 2 direct damage is the equivalent of 3 indirect damage. I think that's more that ratio from the veteran stormtrooper that was spoiled very early on, which instead of having a 2 side, it had a 3 indirect.
That's also a fair valuation. If you remember Pomaz, which was basically an indirect damage deck,
Hmm.
um, it was doing 6 with thermal detonator, and people thought that was like over oppressive. It was doing like 4 with U-wing. Admittedly, the difference between indirect damage and direct damage is that indirect damage is really weak against 4 wide style decks or like Phasma Guardian style strategies, whereas a direct damage deck is much stronger against a Phasma Guardian style strategy.
Right, and that's why I have a problem with your idea of what Pomaz was, because Thermal Detonator was not an indirect damage card. It scaled in damage based on the amount of characters you had, whereas a deck, I'm sure that a 4 wide deck is typically quite strong against indirect damage, but Thermal would do a full 12 to that.
That is also fair. The other character we have to look at is Palpatine, which Palpatine has seen quite a bit of play.
Hmm.
Although not very much tier 1 play, he has been consistently tier 2 in every incarnation. And Palpatine weakness to dice control nonetheless, ignoring that, you get 2 extra damage around and you only have 2 dice, and people consider Palpatine's to be roughly powerful.
So you would say that Palpatine's indirect damage was providing approximately 3 and a bit damage additionally overall, in equivalent to ranged or melee damage. 3 and 7/10, right?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What?
So you would say that the Palpatine's damage is the equivalent of 3 and 7/10 of the normal damage.
Yeah, that's about
If
right.
you're saying 9/10, all
Um,
right. So I'm probably going to be valuing these indirect damage cards surprisingly less than you then. Okay. So let's actually talk about
yeah.
this card that's been staring at us on the screen for 10 minutes. We do have Aayla Secura 912. I'm not going to repeat all of the stats on this thing. I'm sorry, guys, but if you want someone to repeat the stats to you verbatim, go check out another YouTuber. There's plenty of them that have already done that. I'm not going to give an example. They would crucify me. But what do you think immediately for Aayla?
So I see a 1, a 2, a resource, and a special.
Hmm.
I see a special that is equivalently of that is like both halves of post special, removing the shield.
Hmm.
Um, and I see a character that was designed to be comboed with Poe 1 before Poe 1 got Power of the Forest.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's also 10 health right there. Like, I remember back in ye old days of Awakening when you had to pay 2 for a Force Choke, you know? And that felt strong.
Yeah, we also have special chaining,
Hmm.
which, as we note from Poe 1, has been extremely strong with Poe's Blaster. She could easily see herself with cards like that. Handcraft with Lightbow is a really good card right now that sees a lot of play,
Hmm.
and she's really good with Handcraft with Lightbow. Force, Miss. She could also see play with Force powers like Mind Probe and Force Throw. Those are also good special chaining cards that she can use. Um, Importantly to note, she also competes with Yoda, who is a character we'll talk about later, who also has also has the special chaining thing. She does it worse than Yoda, but unlike Yoda, she starts with damage sides. So in deck,
Mhm.
which is less based around special chaining and is more based around just doing damage, she's stronger. She also costs 1 point less, which due to plots might be really important because let's say you have Finn Yoda, that's 19 points. Maybe you go Finn Ialia taking ground
Mhm.
instead, so you can get the plot, so you can do something. She's going to compete in a lot of spots with Yoda, though, and
Yeah,
that's going to be
that's
her
the
main
biggest
problem.
problem. She's going to compete with Yoda, and she's going to compete with Poe too for special chaining. I'm going to be honest here. I'm thinking of giving her. Actually, there is the Padwans, right? You could definitely pair her with Padwans and maybe get a good plot in with that. The whole younglings thing. I definitely think this person's better than Ray One.
Oh yeah, her her Poe one would have been completely oppressive in Awakenings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm really torn between 3 stars here and 4 stars here, simply because I think there might be people. I think she's really good, but they might just play Yoda instead. I think I'm gonna ultimately say 3 stars.
So I give this card a 3-star rating in standard, a 4-star rating in trilogies,
Hmm.
because her Finn is better than Yoda Finn, and I'm going to give her a 5-star rating if Poe gets Unpower of the Forest.
Poe is never getting unpowered of the Force. Although I'm gonna be
Fair
honest
enough.
here, I don't think this guy is as good as Mars was for Poe.
Maybe, but I think she has. Well, she's worse than Poe. What she's worse than Maz for Poe. She's better at being blue. She's better than Ray for Poe, and
Mm,
Poe Ray was a really good deck.
that's perfectly fair. That is very valid. I never actually played that one very much. So we both actually were together on that one. In 3 stars. Okay, so off for a good start here. Let's move on. Jedi Temple Guard then. He's a guardian.
Is this the only Guardian in the set, right?
I think so. I mean we have
Yeah.
Lobot, but he's in Rivals.
So if you're going to build like a defensive 3-character deck in trilogies, you basically have to be playing Kiro with Jedi Temple Guard. Um, so he has pretty reasonable size if you compare him to Royal Guard. He essentially trades a 2 damage side and a shield side for a 2 shield and a resource side, which is a fair trade. And he costs 1 fewer point. So he could see play with, say, like him, a Yoda, and another character, where he could see play with like 2 defensive characters. There's a lot of potential here, I see.
That's fair. But I don't know. Royal Guard to me, his strength has always, of course, been who he's partnered with, and Royal Guard can partner very well with cards like Seventh Sister, and he gives access to Villain Blue, which is an incredibly powerful event suite, and I think that suite is still going to be more powerful than the hero suites for normal play. We are talking about trilogies and standard, but we haven't really talked about limited formats either. Um, I'm
This
think
is insane and limited because
Yes,
any character that costs less than 9 is insane and limited.
yes, I would definitely give this
Sorry,
guy a
9 or
4.
less.
I would definitely give this guy a 4 or 5 star in limited, honestly. But as it stands, I don't think it's gonna make the cut. I am gonna say this is a 2 star card. I don't think this is gonna make the cut into one, two, or threes.
I think this is a 2-star card in standard and a 3-star card in trilogies. Trilogies is ultimately a much more harder format to judge. In trilogies, there's like 2 very good ways to play this card. I think you could see a like defensive double Jedi Temple Guard with like a Han or something, or you could see like a Jedi Temple Guard plus a guy plus another guy, and they like the Jedi Temple Guard is guarding the cards you play upgrades on. It's important to note there aren't that many redeploys in trilogies, so 2 character decks with like
Yeah,
one
I
bomb,
mean,
one.
um, I don't know. I mean, trilogies is one of those formats where I don't think anyone's going to play it until after we get a second set in trilogies, honestly. I mean, yes, you skip all the SOR stuff, but I don't think a format is strong enough with just a single set out. Um, so I care a lot
We
more about.
also have the two-player game and Rivals, which gives you a lot of characters, not so many cards.
Mhm.
I think trilogies is a real format. There's actually some pretty interesting decks you can build. And it does punish you for being monocolor really heavily, but other than that, you're pretty fine.
Mm. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one then. I hope you guys are appreciating all these star arts. It took me like half an hour to set this up. Oh, we're on to Luke Skywalker, the unlikely hero. I I really like this card. I'm going to be honest. Blue hero in standard has needed a 14-point card for a long time. You can tell with Chirrut, Chewie, everyone else that says 12, 16 for some reason. I really like this card as a 11, 14 point cost for 11 health. Heroes tend to not have that, and also we've got a good power action on that guy. I mean, it's not a power action you're going to be using every single turn, but when it counts, it counts. So I think this guy might be almost a 4-star character. I'm going to say 4.
Wow, this is where we disagree. This is a 1-star card. I've actually done
Woo!
checking. Roughly 16 characters in each expansion see competitive play.
Uh huh.
So you have to be careful when doing these sorts of rankings to make sure that you don't go over 16.
Mm-hmm.
And some characters are not going to make the cut, some characters will make the cut. And it's also been the case, traditionally speaking, that the characters that make the cut are typically going to be about half characters that made it before and half new characters.
Okay.
Actually, more like 80-20.
Okay.
But the the exceptions so far was the two-player game was completely broken. I'm just straight up saying the two-player
Well,
game had
yeah.
every single character in that set was above the curve.
Mm-hmm.
And the this expansion is going to be more powerful, relatively speaking, because all the good characters have been nerfed.
Okay.
So, but we're still going to have to. Every character is going to have to compete with every other good character. You need a really broken pairing at this point to be good,
Okay. Yeah.
and there is not a really broken pairing for Luke.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I would easily see this guy replacing Ray 2 in R2P2. Honestly.
Okay, let's look at his die compared to Ray 2's die.
Mm-hmm.
So they both have the exact same die going down. Immediately he has guns instead of swords. Right up until he gets a sword instead of a discard.
Yeah.
And Ray 2 has her ability, and her ability is incredible. It does like 0.83 damage per round, according to my spreadsheet of times I've done it, which is just means I've done it I've had it a multiple 6 times for some reason. 5/6 of the time it
Okay. Yeah.
happens.
Sure.
So that's quite frequent. That's
That
like a lot of damage.
yeah, that's a lot of damage, but Luke can make it happen where it happens, right?
Sure, there are some cases where since you kill a character, that's a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you power action to kill a character, that is extremely importantly powerful, comparatively speaking. Whereas, Ray just pinged them, that might not matter. And there's definitely the knife edge, whereby there is a huge difference between doing 1 damage here and doing the second damage. But except for the knife edge cases, it's mostly just a game of numbers, and his numbers don't line up very well.
Sure, but I mean, 1 star, man. You don't even think the casual market's going to enjoy this guy?
Fair enough. Casual markets might enjoy this guy. He's cool, right? He's a starter character in the 2-die starter. But sure, I'll give him a 2-star rating for that, but I won't give him a one. I'll give him a 1-star rating in terms of competitive play.
All right, yeah. So you're not going
He's
to
gonna
give.
be the base window of the set.
All right, I see.
That kind of character.
I see how it is. So you give me this list of what each of the stars mean, and then you don't even follow your own rules. I see. Rule breaker. I like it. All right. Okay. Fine. Fine. You don't like that guy. What do you think of Obi-Wan?
So the very first thing to note is you look at the bottom left corner, and you see 1519,
Hmm.
and you look at his die, and his die is incredible. So you're going to say, well, 19. Um, the only two die pairing with him is Maz, so that's an Obi-Wan Maz deck. So really, this rating is how good is the Obi-Wan Maz deck, and Obi-Wan gives you a lot of stuff actually for his point cost. Compare him to Poe 1, and you're getting a 3 damage side and a 3 for 1 side, whereas Poe 1 had his special, which is worth about
4.
4.34
Yeah.
damage, and this guy has just a 3 stick.
Yep.
Um, he does have the 2 1 shield sides, which are quite bad, and the resource side, which are also quite bad
Yeah.
on the
Yeah. You
blank.
don't want those.
But it's nice with Moz because Moz will let you fix his die to the sides you like, unlike Sabine Syndrome. So he won't suffer from Sabine Syndrome as much.
Yeah.
He Unfortunately, my problem with the Obi-Wan Maz deck is when I tried to build it, I noted that all the good upgrades to go on Maz are all 3 cost upgrades, and you want to play Chance Cube in that deck.
Hmm.
So if you try to play an upgrade on Maz round 1, it's going to be hard. You can only play Reaping the Crystal because you have to Reaping the Crystal it, and then you can't play Chance Cube. Or you
Okay.
can just not play an upgrade on Maz round 1 and just try to Chance Cube out resources and then put the upgrade on Obi-Wan with Heirloom Saber or Ray Saber. And these are all like quite good cards, mind you.
Okay.
Um,
Sure.
but traditionally speaking, fair decks have not been good in Destiny. This deck is a very fair deck. It doesn't have any individually broken cards or does any individually broken things. Therefore, this is a 3-star card. Kind of like Ray Qui-Gon was back in Spirit of Rebellion,
Okay.
is where I'm going to put this guy.
Have, I don't know, man. I feel like that activate the character to get a shield is quite significant, right? That's the main thing he has over the Poe one. Um, I think this guy is definitely going to see some good play. He's got guard. He's got reasons to use that three melee, right? He's one of the few characters who genuinely can use a My Allies the Force properly. But I do think that the meta isn't going to be kind to him, and I am also going to give him a 3-star. I feel like one of his die is going to be like Poe, where one of his dice gets mitigated and then he's just got one die. But whereas Poe, he could then pull out all these other tricks with hit and runs and hyperspace jumps and such. The Obi-Wans can't do that. Well, I guess they can still hyperspace jump.
Obi-Maz is still a cool deck, and it could definitely like win some tournaments, kind of like Kylo 2 General Grievous can right
Hmm.
now. But 3 stars is where Kylo 2 General Grievous would be, for instance.
Really, you'd have those at 3-star? I would have Kylo 2 General Grievous at 4. They're pretty
Okay,
effective for
maybe
tier 2.
that's the difference in our rankings.
Yeah, no, I think those are kind of tier two. I think that's a tier two-ish deck if we're considering Frey R2P to tier one. I mean, I we all know that I don't even consider that a tier one deck, but all right.
Okay, so I consider tier 1 to be R2 people in Rainbow number 5, and every other
Yeah,
deck to be tier 2
I
and
know that
below.
that's what I'm going off of these, rankings was saying that's tier one, but I'm sure there's something better that no one's found yet. But all right,
Fair enough.
fair enough. We'll move on to Yoda then. No blanks. Amazing special.
No blanks and no damage. So, that's a lot of focus.
It is. It's even more somehow than Potu. But note that whilst he's got all of these amazing things on that special, that's a lot of text. The one thing it doesn't have is turn an opponent's die to a side. So he can't mitigate the opponent that way. He can get shields, but I mean, I've
And
always.
that's fair.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's fair. It's also important to note though that he combos really well with Obi-Wan's lightsaber because you can turn a die, turn Obi Saber to the special, take a shield, and then use Obi Saber's shield special to gain another shield and do damage.
Hmm.
He also combos well with all the blue special cards, which all say blue character only, and he's a blue character, so he can combo with all those perfectly fine. like Force Wave, Mind Probe, and Force Throw, if you can get those out. His issue is going to be pairings. So there aren't actually that many interesting pairings for him at 17 points. There's like Zeb, who's not that exciting for Yoda, but he's such an incredible character on his own that there might be some like pairing that people will just find for him. I could see like Yoda Saw being a really good deck, for instance, where you special chain into Saw special. But you would need like quite a few expensive cards in your deck for that to work, like the Pirate Speeder Tank and Millennium Falcon, that you just couldn't cast. That's going to be the issue with, like, say, a Yoda Saw deck. Yoda Poe 2, I don't like because that's just too much special chaining, too much focus. There is such a thing as focus overload, and
Yeah.
Yoda Poe 2 isn't.
Yep, absolutely. You don't want to have 4 dice all be you don't want to have your 4 character dice all be used as focuses when you've only got 1 upgrade dice out.
Yeah. He's best like with Finn, so I rate him as a 5-star card, but I have no pairings for him
I rate him
that
as a
I
5-star
like.
card. I think he would fit very nicely in APR potentially as a mill ally, which is unusual to say where he would be. I don't see him as a. I see that his special chaining might be a bit of a trap to encourage people to special chain. I think his biggest strength is going to be that you can discard the top card of a deck and get a shield or a resource for a mill deck.
Fair.
I feel like that's.
He's
I feel like
definitely
that's where it's going to
amazing
really
in there.
lie.
He's definitely like among the best mill characters.
Mm-hmm.
If you play him in say General Recon Mill, you could play 2 die Yoda, 1 die General. Well, no, you can play 1 die Yoda, 1 die Recon, 1 die somebody else.
Yeah.
To get the mill.
I
Although you have trouble milling the hand with Hero.
Hero always
Whereas
has
villain
trouble
gets
milling the
lying.
hand. That's just a thing you've got to work around.
Whereas villain gets lying in wait, so they always have free mill the hand.
Yeah. And that's not even their best mill hand. That's just one of them. They have so many ways to mill the hand, but that's one of the significant differences between hero and villain. But I think there are definitely ways you can force the hand to go bye bye. I mean, C3PO for example is a very standard one, and Yoda in trilogies format and in limited, this guy is going to be one of the top drafted characters, no question.
I would actually first pick Ialia over first picking Yoda in draft because of the rainbow principle.
Okay.
A 9-cost blue character, 9-cost red characters, and 10-cost yellow characters are a massive premium in draft because that lets you play either Ketsu, Anakin, X, or like full lets you play the full rainbow and have your 2 rivals starter pack characters.
Sure, but I mean, I just think Yoda's better than Ayla for it. Like, the draft formats are awkward in that some people might just decide not to play a full 30 card deck, and then you can really punish that.
Yeah, in my drafts I found that it was super important to get a full rainbow and have 3 character dice because it was just that those won you all. That was what won you the draft.
All right. Well,
Was having 3 character dice.
I haven't played a draft yet, so we'll see. But I feel like no, I feel like he's a 5-star even in draft. Top pick.
That's fair. I think he competes with Anakin really heavily in draft. Though you can play him, Anakin, Lobot in draft.
That seems like a fine deck to me. Him, Anakin, Lobot,
Fair.
because I mean, one of the problems with draft, one of the problems with limited, I should say, is the damage amounts. Right? Is very. I think it'd be quite difficult for people to get a lot of high damage, and that's where the 1 shield every turn really helps.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, this card is just amazing. I haven't found a home for him yet, but there's a lot of really
There's got to be
interesting
something.
things
There's
you
got
can
to be
do.
something somewhere. All right.
Yeah.
Let's stop gushing over that guy and move on to the clone trooper now. So this is where we get another look into FFG's mind a bit. The stormtrooper was a 7/7, and it had a 2 range for a resource, whereas this has just got a 2 indirect. So we're seeing that an indirect versus a ranged might be more of the equivalent of a resource-ish. as well.
Yeah, but FFG tends to vastly overrate page size in general,
That's fair.
compared to like actual play.
That is very fair. Although to
Like I value a pay side as worth one less than an actual damage, the actual damage it does. Except I actually recently tried to start evaluating them less than that because you can't play a 2-cost upgrade and then pay for your pay sides, which is super
I
annoying.
don't know. In villain with Imperial HQ, I would say can those pay sides actually become effectively free at that point. But
That is fair. I don't play very many Imperial HQ decks except for I played Cad Bane Phasma, which was a really good Imperial HQ deck. Okay, so now let's look at Clone Trooper.
yeah, we should probably look at the character. First red. He's got a Mace Windu quote, so that increases his star value very clearly. Uh, but
So
I don't value re-rolling a die very high when you activate a character. I'm going to be honest.
So Z6 Riot Control Baton was a really good card,
That's fair.
and this card reminds me a lot of Z6 Riot Control Baton's die.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, it's almost as good as the Z6 Riot Control Baton die. The two indirect versus the pay size a little different, though pay size in practice tend to be much worse than they are in theory, and two indirect might be pretty reasonable. And so he has really good stat line. His main issue to me is twofold. First, he costs 8, not 7. And 7, the difference between 7 and 8 in Destiny is a massive difference. Because with 7, you can pair a 7 with a 7 with an 8 with an 8. You cannot pair an 8 with an 8 with an 8 with an 8.
Hmm.
So you need another cheap guy. In Standard, this is a 1-star card because there's too many powerful cards. Destiny's too powerful. In Trilogies, this is a 4-star card. There is hope that a 4-wide style deck is going to be good in Trilogies. And the reason I think 4-wide might be good is we have Jawa Scavenger. So you can play a Jawa Scavenger and like a Clone Trooper and another guy and have, 4 characters and a rainbow. 4-character rainbow decks are more based around ready-to-play weapons and supports than, say, 2-character decks. Character rainbow, or maybe just 4 characters with blue, red and yellow, or blue and red. This guy could be really, really good at that.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I look at the 8 health and I look at the 8 cost, and I think that's not enough. I think for an 8 cost, I might want to be taking 9 health here. He's got a great ability. But one of the stipulations here is that if you control the battlefield, you may reroll a character die. If that was you could reroll any of your die, I think I might even rate this guy at a 2-star. But I'm gonna have to agree with you with the 1-star for now.
I like him in trilogies though, as a
Oh yeah,
way of
oh yeah. Trilogy's
building
unlimited. This
four
guy's
wide.
great.
In trilogies, I think the 4-wide style is actually good, with Jawa Scavenger and 3 other characters. Or with villain, they get battle droid and 3 other characters. And the reason I think that is because if you look at the mitigation, um, there are 2 4-wide based mitigation cards in this expansion. There's Outnumber and the Hero one. The Hero one is exhaust one of your characters to remove 2 dice showing damage. It costs 1. So if you
Mhm.
exhaust Jawa Scavenger, that's incredible value. And Flank is just an amazing piece of removal. And there isn't a lot of good removal otherwise. There's like Doubt and Sound the Alarm. Those are the best remainders.
I don't really have anything to add to that. So we'll go for the next one. We've got another Finn. Is this the playable Finn? Is it? I mean, he's got 11 health. That's slightly more playable. And I'm gonna be honest, I do love that special. I really love that special. And he has 3 decent damage sides. I see those as being 3/2s right there. Although, if you could pair him up with something that has a modified indirect, that could be even better. And well, technically it's 4/2s because that special is a one is a +1 -1. So I think this guy could potentially see play. It's just a case of, is he better than the cards before him? I'm gonna say this guy could be.
So, in standard, this is the type of character that is going to be a lot worse than people think because of just how broken the new standard format is.
Mhm.
But this guy is amazing. But 16 is an order of magnitude different from 15. Okay, in just Destiny in general, because you cannot pair a 16 with another 16. You can pair a 15 with another 15. Compare this guy to Vader 2. Vader 2 has a 2 damage side. His special is basically this guy has antimatter version of Vader special, whereas Vader had matter version of this guy's special, or either way you want to look at it.
Okay.
Net of 2 swing.
Yeah.
Um, Vader 2 has a 3-for-1 pay melee side instead of a 3 indirect side, and Vader 2 had a 1 gun side instead of a +2 gun side.
Mhm.
This guy's die, oh, and he has a resource instead of a discard, which I value discard at 0.61 damage, whereas I value resources at 0.93 damage. So
Really?
yeah,
I
resources are really good.
I value resources at way higher than a single damage. I think one resource is worth the equivalent of about 1.3, 1.4 damage.
So I think resources are really good round 1. That's true. But round 2, round 3, they get diminishing returns because there's only about 4 rounds in a game. And so a resource in round 1 will play an upgrade in round 1, and that upgrade will be used 4 times. A resource in round 2 will be used 3 times. A resource in round 3 will be used 2 times.
Ah, you're
Think about
making
field medic.
you're making, I think, the wrong assumption there that the resource will be only useful for upgrades. I
And
mean,
then if you use a resource for field medic, it's worth 1 damage compared to using a resource for rejuvenate.
no, man, I think I have to disagree with you there. My senses are telling me that a one resource could remove up to can remove up to like 3 damage. With a card like Dug In or Flank, and if you've got a good deck with a lot of high quality cards, a resource is worth far more than damage to me. So yeah, I'm gonna. Now the only problem we've got here is that I think this is a great card. I'm just not sure that Hero Red is gonna want such a high cost character.
So I think this guy is really good in trilogies with Han Solo, Yoda, and Ialia, but in standard, I don't like this guy.
You wouldn't even put this guy with Luke. You don't think this guy's a good partner with Luke?
I like Ialia Finn more than I like Luke Finn.
Oh, that's fair. But I mean, Luke does
Though
provide the range.
Luke does have guns, which is
Exactly.
really nice because of this guy's +2 side.
Yeah,
So I could see Luke Finn.
FN's got a real problem where a lot of the good guns for red, cards like Overkill and such, tend to not have base sides. So not having base sides on a
That
character is quite a problem.
that's fair. Pose Blaster also has that problem,
Hmm.
but DH-17 Blaster Pistol does not, and nor does Hunting Rifle, which is an upcoming card.
Okay.
Um,
What about a Finn Yoda? Could you ever see that happen?
I like Finn Yoda in trilogies, not so much in standard, but in trilogies I like Finn Yoda because Yoda's super powerful and Finn's super powerful, so powerful character plus powerful character. But it's not necessarily going to be like some um, oppressive combo whereby we have some massive synergy between them. We just have very powerful character combined with very powerful character. Same thing with Finn Ialia. The thing is, Finn Ialia also gets to take taking ground, which might be better than Yoda's marginal.
So if you just had to just put, like, say, a numerical value to the feelings you're feeling now, and say that that numerical value had to be between 1 and 5, what would you say this Finn is
Two
to you?
stars in standard, 5 stars in trilogies.
You are valuing these standard cards quite highly here, man. I think that Finn might. I think he might have what it takes to be a 4-star character. I think a tier 2 deck could pick him up and run well with him.
Fair enough. I think this format is going to be about as oppressive as Spirit of Rebellion was.
Whoa, that's a claim.
These power these cards are really powerful, okay?
That's very true.
Don't
But I don't know, man. Spirit of Rebellion had some very oppressive cards. Like, except for Spirit of Rebellion, we've had some quite wide lists, right? A tier two in this game, tier twos in this game is like 7 or 8 deck lists long.
Okay, what was tier 2 at the start of Empire at War? Cad Bane, Phasma, and Thrawn Unkar.
That's fair.
Right? That was it.
Yeah,
Oh, and Poe won, Ray won. That was the only other deck that made a top 8 in a single tournament.
I mean,
The format was dominated by 2 decks. It was a 2-deck format.
I think APR
We have
probably.
not had very many non-oppressive formats.
I think Sabine has a spot up there. Had a spot up there.
Sabine did not top 8 a single event until after Power
Yeah,
by
but that's
Force.
because people are just stupid, right? Sabine Akbar was very legit.
You know what was much more legit? Kylo 2 FN.
Sabine Akbar beat Kylo 2 FN. Sabine Akbar was dumb. Let me just do 10 damage that you can't stop. Let me just do another 10 damage you can't stop. Oh look, your characters are all dead. That's the game. Goodbye.
You were playing a 1-character deck, and you think this deck is going to beat Kylo 2 FN,
Absolutely.
which dealt, on average, 30 damage by round 3.
You
By round
think?
2.
Do you really think? Do you really doubt the second chance? Do you really doubt the second chance?
Yes.
You're too much of a stats guy, man. Have a little faith. Have a little faith. As we move on to Rose, the skilled mechanic, I cannot segue that from faith. So go ahead. A resource and a remover damage. Interesting. So she's got 2 resource
So,
sites.
there's an interesting long list of supports that have damage on them.
Hmm.
But the most important support that takes damage is actually a neutral support that starts with 2 damage on it, and when you activate it, it deals indirect damage to you equal to the amount of damage on that support. It's extremely overpowered if you paid for it and it didn't deal the indirect damage to you. So this girl would be amazing with that support. There's also a couple of other interesting supports that take damage, like the Bubble Shield, because she can just combo with Bubble Shield really nicely.
Hmm.
If you can make yourself take indirect damage, you can Bubble Shield it away and then Bubble Shield to port damage
Yeah.
to heal it. And so
All right.
that's really powerful. Like that special is worth 2 in the Rose deck. But the problem with Rose is that who are you pairing her with in Standard? In Standard, she's a 1-star card because that's just how powerful Standard is going to be. But in Trilogies, she has some potential as a 3-star card in a really powerful form. In a interesting archetype where you put damage on your things, you play men, you play all these supports that let you heal, that you can heal and take damage so that you can use them.
I don't know, man. I see 8 cost 9 health, and I think yippee, heroes need that sort of stuff. I mean, she doesn't have damage size really. She has a 2 indirect, but that's about it. But resources are very valuable, and I really like resources. And it's as a special 2 dice, 11 cost, 9 health, 2 dice. I don't know, man. I think I can easily see this being a 3-star in standard. Maybe even a 4-star.
Standard
I
is
don't
really
know.
that impressive, though.
We we've had we've had so many. I've been trying to get this vehicle deck in Empire at War to work so hard, and if, as you say, we're going to get some really good supports that Rose could use, she could be an integral piece to it.
She will work in Trilogies with her vehicle deck, in Standard with her vehicle deck, because it's just that oppressive of a format we're going to be in soon.
I think we might be working off of different rankings here. If you're telling me 1-star, and then it's like not even the casuals would enjoy this as a good card, really, for standard.
This has casual value, but I put casual. 2-star to me, 2-star was supposed to be it will see play at start of format and then quickly fade off into
Alright,
obscurity.
okay, I'll readjust accordingly, and I think I have no differences in the cards, because I haven't varied anything very low here, except for something, maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember what day is it? Alright, you seem to be quite negative on a lot of these cards because you think standard is just this oppressive. But is this oppressive against Wedge?
Wedge's power action is incredible. Wedge's +3 indirect damage side turns out to actually be usable. If you can actually use his +3 indirect damage side, he will be great. His huge issue is going to be twofold. First, you want to build a 2-character vehicle deck, which is not very good typically. Generally, when you want to build a vehicle deck, you want to go as many characters, as much health as possible. Your deck is slow, so go full slowness. Like, they're going to get 4 rounds in the game, and you're going to have 3 rounds in the game. That's how slow you are. You want to just slow the game down and play
Why don't you
turn where you go 35 actions round 2.
why don't you want to use this as a 1-die character?
Oh, so as a 1-die character, this guy looks really cool.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
As a 1-die character, this guy has 11 health and costs 11. Then you'll need to play. How many more characters are you going to play, though? Is an important question.
It's probably gonna be a 3-character deck, let's be honest. I mean, it's got to be a
Okay, so
3-character
you
deck, right?
play him with another tanky guy and another tanky guy,
Him, I could see him,
costing a
1-die
total of.
Velma, and something else for 11.
Sure. And in that deck, I think this guy's quite good. You could play him with Rose.
Yeah, I said Velma. Why did I say Velma? Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, 1-die Rose. You could play him with Rose and another character in trilogies, and that would be great. Maybe a Jedi Temple Guard in trilogies, so you can block damage. And that would be fine in trilogies. In standard, I don't like him because of how oppressive standard is. But he could see some interesting play in like a high roll vehicle deck. But he's going to have too much trouble dealing with the power level that is standard. So I give him a 2-star card in standard and a 4-star card in trilogies.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna rate this guy at a 3-star for standard. I I don't like that power action. I'm gonna be honest. I think that's a pretty bad power action. Um, because you turn the die and then they just mitigate it. Basically, if they can mitigate your vehicles, you're screwed. In fact, maybe I should lower this to a 2-star. Do I want to lower this to a 2-star? He's got a decent die. He's got good health for his cost is the problem, which is forbidding me from wanting to lower this. Would I
So
think
here's what you
he
do.
fits in a
You
tier 3 deck?
resolve all of your other dice first. And then, because a vehicle deck, you're super duper slow. They either can claim the battlefield or pass. If they pass, you pass.
That's fair.
If they don't pass, you power. If they claim, you power action, resolve.
Well, if they passed, you would still power action anyway. Because then you're
You can
discarding.
claim
Because then
instead
you.
of.
Well, if.
You can claim. Yeah. You could also go power action. They mitigate. You claim.
Exactly.
That's
There's
a
no
really
reason
good
not to
endgame.
power action there because you're getting rid of a card in their hand and probably a resource for nothing.
Sure. So you go, okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
all
So
right, I have resolved all my dice. I've done everything I want to do in the round. I have just remaining my Millennium Falcon die. Wedge Antilles power action, turn that to the 4 range. And they go, all right, I'm going to high ground your die. You go, okay, I'll claim the battlefield, which is Weapons Factory Alpha, because that's your battlefield.
yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll leave him at 3 stars for now. I think he'd fit in a tier 3 deck.
I think he'll fit in a decent deck in trilogies, but trilogies is a lot weaker of a format.
Alright. Now we're on to Han Solo, the first yellow for heroes here. I think you can tell by my voice that I don't like this guy at all. He has a pay side, he has only one real base side, and because of that, re-rolling a die is decent, but not amazing, and a +1 on the resource. I mean, heroes don't have access to bait and switch, so for the sake of time, I'm immediately just saying this guy's a 1-star.
I agree. 1 star, 1 star standard, 2 stars in trilogies. There is Han Solo Finn, which if red
Ugh.
and yellow hero becomes good, Han Solo Finn might be one of the decks.
No, I think even with the yellow support over the blue support, I think you'd want the Luke instead. I think that would just be the superior. I mean, Luke's even got one more hit point. This Han Solo has nothing going for him.
That's fair. He is definitely not very good, except for his pairing with Finn might be good.
Hmm.
I do agree he's a 1 star card.
All right, let's go immediately to Jar Jar Binks, because this guy is controversial, and not just because of the character, but also because of his card. I don't even know how to value this guy. I'm gonna be quite honest. I'm just gonna go with my initial gut. My initial gut is just straight up telling me this guy is a 2-star, might see play early on, then he's gonna be thrown away.
Here are 3 important things to note about this character. First, in a mill deck, this guy's incredible. You play him you play one die him, they have to activate him in your mill deck, and he's really good in mill. So say you're playing hero mill with like Jar Jar, Yoda, some other 8-point character. Rebel, was it Jedha Outcast? I think it's called. That's the one that lets you discard a card that gives you discard sides.
Okay.
That this guy will be great in that. Um, you could also play him at 7-point in a mill deck. Similar thing. He re-rolls all their damage. I don't like
Yeah.
him in damage decks. He also is really good with Loth Cat and Mouse, Negotiate, and Double Cross. All
Yes.
those cards sort of use Jar Jar's crap die, and Jar Jar can do a bunch of shenanigans. So I think he's really good in mill, and he's also really good with weird jank things. I give him tentatively 3 stars in the general Recon mill deck, which, if that deck is competitive, I think Jar Jar will be a part of it. I think outside of that deck, he's a 1 star card. So I'm going to give him 2 stars as the best meme card of the expansion.
Fair
Standard.
enough. I'm gonna be honest though. I can definitely see the potential with cards like Lothcat and Negotiate. But I feel like if he's in a mill deck, all they're gonna do is be like, okay, first action, activate Jar Jar for me. All right, thank you very much. You're gonna be a tempo ahead, but you're a mill deck, so you don't really care about that. Uh, well, then again, I guess if he rolls double
Sure.
discard, he could be quite threatening on their cards in their hand immediately. But I don't know. I'm a mill player. I don't really like this guy. 7 health. Ugh.
I think just has such amazing meme value that
Oh,
there's
he
so
does.
much
He
fun
does.
looking
He's
at.
definitely going to see play early. I just don't think he's going to see play for much more beyond the honeymoon phase. All right,
All
Jeddah
right,
Partisan.
Jeddah Partisan.
You seem to really want to talk about him, so go ahead.
Okay,
All right.
so Jeddah Partisan has after you deal indirect damage to an opponent for the first damage round. So importantly, this is a mill character plus a damage character. This guy isn't necessarily either or. So that's problematic for him because generally speaking, right now at least, we've only had mill decks and damage decks. There haven't really been decks that function in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
There's like some random Akbar decks here and there otherwise.
Uh, he he could definitely see play. I really do like the idea of doubling up on the Jeddahs. So first round, when you hit them with indirect, they have to mill 2. That seems pretty effective to me.
I
What about
really do not like any deck that tries to play with a mill and damage strategy.
you? Uh-huh.
That's generically been very ineffective.
Ugh, you
And
should play.
so
You should try APR sometime when it's not an R2P2 meta. If it wasn't
I
for
think that the R2P2 meta type thing is here to stay. I think that
it's
Destiny is more so than any game I've ever played, very prone to having a single oppressively overpowered deck because this game, if one deck is more powerful than another, it's probably just more powerful on the axis of dealing damage and killing characters and being fast. So the only real axis you can compete on is speed. In this game. So like you can have a faster deck or a slower deck, but you can't really have a you can be slower, more powerful, or faster and less powerful, and that's the thing. But I don't think there's really much of a rock paper scissors in Destiny. There's just been like this deck is really strong. This other two character deck is really strong. This other two character deck is really strong, and then you look, and it's typically just there's one deck that's more powerful because this game has a tendency toward just the way it's designed has a tendency toward a single overpowered deck. And I just don't see this guy competing in that space.
well, I I would agree with you with this guy, but I am going to say that APR, the problems with it have nothing to do with what you said, and it's purely because Force Misdirection is a card. And that completely destroys APR. Completely destroys it.
That's fair. I don't play APR. Okay, let's look up the next card.
Well, we haven't even talked about stars here. I'm probably going to give this guy. I'm going to give this guy a tentative 1 star for now. What about you?
Okay, 1 star in standard, 2 stars in trilogies. Fun meme card in trilogies. Not good
Yeah.
enough for standard.
Honestly, he might actually be useful later on when in more sets, but for now, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there might be some other set that really likes having a double indirect. Can't think what, but you know. Zeb, Zeb, Zeb. Second last card here. Now, before we do star ratings, what do you think about this guy? Just as a card.
So, I think that he, in terms of health, is really powerful. I like the idea that we have a dual range guy that can pair with um, that we have a guy that's both range and melee instead of either or. He has switch damage. That's kind of cool. Unfortunately, I really don't like that he costs 17 instead of costing 14 and having a slightly worse die. I would have really liked the what's the blind monk guy called? Churret.
Yeah,
I
sure.
would really liked if this guy could have been Churret's partner,
hmm
and it's really sad that he can't partner with Churret.
So, I really, from a deck builder's perspective, I really, really, really like this character. Just I can see a lot of potential in a deck where I can slot in both Electro Staff and Overkill and be happy about it. He can cherry pick a lot of the really good modifier die cards, and that's just beautiful to me. And at 17, there aren't hero cards at 17. So he does fill a niche gap in that respect. I can't really see him pairing up with the 13 cost characters we've got right now. But as a card, I love this guy.
There is one character I see him pairing with, Yoda.
Mm. I mean, I guess you can flip to the 3-for-1s, but again, heroes don't have like Imperial HQ or anything. And I would definitely see this guy with a red partner instead of a blue partner for Electro Staff and Overkill, personally.
That's fair. I think he's a cool design. I'm
Mhm.
really sad that they didn't make his die worse and have him cost 14 so he could pair with Churret.
I think he
Just the
just needs
stupidest
someone
thing.
else to come out and support him rather than needs to support what the current meta is. I'm gonna say that this guy is a 3-star character. Um,
Okay, I'm going
but
to tell you that I'm going to give this guy a 2 star rating, just
yeah,
based on the fact of how powerful this format is. This is really maybe the difference, but I see there being about 7 good decks that get anywhere between 5 and 4 stars, and a very few 3 star characters making the cut. This guy might make 3 stars, and I wouldn't be surprised if he saw a 3-star point rating. But the power level of Destiny is like so much higher than it used to be. With some of these, with Yoda, with Ialia, with something with Finn, with Kylo 2 getting a partner that's actually good, with some upcoming villain characters that I just don't see this guy seeing play with all the really powerful characters we're about to see.
Yeah, I think that there will be some support for him later on. There's got to be. This guy just needs a good 13 cost with him, I think. Just give us a just give Hero a Phasma 2, right? That's all we need.
All right, next character, Saw Gerrera.
Yes, I
Important
believe
to
this is
note,
the last hero character actually for this video.
yeah, important to note, this is a player's hand, so it's you or your opponent, not
Hmm.
just your opponent.
Now, we were talking beforehand, you think this guy is a very strong character, don't you?
Okay. Oh no. Yeah, this is one of the 3 reasons why I believe this format is going to be super oppressive. So his 2 indirect side and his 3 indirect side are both solid. His
Yep.
disrupt and his resource and his blank are trash, and his special is actually amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, if you discard a 5 cost card from your hand, that is 1 point worse than Thermal Detonator was. Admittedly, it's way worse against 4 wide style decks,
Or 3 wide.
but
You're comparing that purely to
yeah,
a character deck lineup. But
fair. And 2 character lineups have become the standard. I actually don't know why. I like 4 wide a lot. Just generally, I think that it's, to me, you want to have about a spread, and you don't want to really lose. But anyways, that's besides the point. So the other important thing is that his pairing has to be with a red character because all of the expensive cards are red. Um, so the pairings that come to mind that exist are Admiral Akbar, Mon Mothma, and Hera. Those are your 3 2-die options.
and there's a clear favorite amongst those 3 there, being Hera.
Yeah, because Hera combos well with Millennium Falcon, U-Wing, and Pirate Tank.
I mean, 2 of those 3
Uh,
cards are yellow, but yes.
yeah. Well, Hera herself
Yes.
has access, gives you access
Hera
to
has a lot of
the
yellow synergy,
L1
yeah.
K-Sonic Cannon, Strike Team, and what's the other card called? Launch Bay. And Saw gives you access to the ones that want to pair with Hera. So that's really nice. You get access to a plot, which we have only 2 good plots, which are Taking Ground and Fortify. But both of those are pretty good. This is kind of like Pomaz, only if Pomaz had Cunning on Maz at all points in time and had a really powerful Maz. And since you play 12 5-cost cards, you can also play Our Only Hope. There's just so much that's good to say about the Saw Hera deck. In Trilogies, this card is not actually a 5-star card. I think this is more of a 3 or 4-star card. Yoda is the best pairing probably for him, and I don't so sure about the Yoda pairing.
So you're giving this guy a 5-star in the standards. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, this guy is extremely oppressive in standard, and is one of the reasons why I believe that this standard format is going to be about as oppressive as Spirit Rebellion. This is going to be Pomaz all over again.
And this is where I'm gonna be surprising. I genuinely think this is a 4-star card. I don't think this is going to be as oppressive as you're making it out to be. I think the idea of having to discard from your own hand can lead to some significant problems if we are seeing, say, a mill deck in the future, or just a deck like Seventh Sister that just happens to roll some mill sides at times. It becomes increasingly difficult for him to be able to manipulate his hand in whatever way he wants. And Hera on her own doesn't roll specials for me ever, personally. right? She's not a Mars. She is, no matter what you want to say, she is not a Mars with cunning on her at all. She does not have the consistency a Mars does, and she does not have the speed a Mars does. And Sorgara does have 11 health, and Hera does have 10 health, so that is a 21 health lineup. But I think this guy could get destroyed before he manages to kill his opponent. Indirect damage has a lot of difficulty finishing people off.
Indirect damage does have the weakness that you don't. In a direct damage deck, round 3, you've killed one of their characters, and round 4, you finish them off.
And
Whereas in an indirect damage deck, you don't kill anybody until round
exactly,
4.
and I think that's going to be one of the things that stops this guy from being better than a tier 2 deck. I think he's going to be top tier 2. I think some people are even going to say he's tier 1.5 because for some reason that deck exists, that spot exists. But I don't think he's going to be one of the main tier 1 decks, honestly.
And I think
Especially
he's
with
going to be
shields. Shields have been back in a really big way, like people having to do shield hate and stuff, and indirect damage is so bad against shields.
That is true. Indirect damage is really bad against shields. Though it is not that bad against shields because you do a lot of it. Right, indirect damage, you get more damage than you do with direct damage.
Yes.
But you get it, but you don't get to control it, whereas they do.
Yeah.
And so it's in some ways better against shields.
Yeah, I just genuinely think this guy is not going to be as amazing as you think. And if he does start becoming quite crippling, these fast decks are just going to run war-torn streets.
Sure. I don't think fast decks will run war-torn streets. I think fast decks will continue to run good battlefields.
Hey, war-torn streets is an amazing
powerful
battlefield. I love it.
I mean, in terms of getting massive effects, Emperor's Throne Room has been the traditional good battlefield.
Yeah, and I can see a sword deck playing Emperor's Throne Room again. But yeah, I don't think Sora is going to be... He's going to be strong, but I don't think he's going to be completely oppressive like you'd think.
Okay, fair enough.
Alright, so this video is now 1 hour, 7 minutes long. So I think we're going to cut it here. We're going to look next time at the villains and potentially the neutrals and the plots. Is there anything you want to say more as closing comments?
Hero makes out like a bandit in this expansion. Hero is extremely strong coming out of Empire at War, and it's going to be much stronger. We might get in a situation where villain is a lot weaker compared to Hero. It's also going to be the case that trilogies seems to be a format that's going to be dominated by Hero. There's a lot of really good Hero decks to look at. Finn looks really strong. R2-P2 looks really strong. Yoda's really good character, even if he doesn't have a good pairing. There's so many reasonable looking hero combos that I don't really see a single character that I go, no, Hero doesn't have a good one. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really hard in trilogies to really look at good combos. And also, if you look at the set as a whole, it seems like they have more health. Just the average character has more health and costs slightly fewer points per health, but does less damage. They seem to have reduced the amount of damage and increased the amount of health.
Oh, that makes sense. Character. If they were, for example, seeing the ridiculousness that FN was pulling out, and they were like, we need to counter the FN before they decide, no, he's too strong, we'll nerf him. They might have just been like, we should up the health, lower the damage on a lot of these potential characters that we're going to be releasing.
And we also have fewer abilities on cards and more abilities on dice. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the power characters are going to be focusing on manipulating dice rather than doing something, activate this character, gain a shield, which is what Obi-Wan has. So whenever you do a thing, gain a widget. There's fewer FNs. And that's important because it seems like they're trying to make the game more and more about the dice and less about activating.
To be fair, one thing that falls under that is power actions, and this is the power actions debut, where the ability is on the card, not the dice.
Both of the power actions manipulate dice.
I mean, that's very true. They manipulate dice, but yeah, okay, that's fair. All right, well, this has been me, GameSlide99, aka No Brainer, and this has also been USS Gordon Captain, Captain Gordon, Gordon Captain. Right? I got the name correct that time, yeah?
Yes. And
Absolutely.
thank you very much for watching this video.
Signing out.